Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I showed this one on my blog recently, but since then I've been playing a bit more and I'm much happier with this. I've also worked out how I can do it as a video, whereas this one I had just it just grew really, I suppose, a bit like Topsy in Uncle Tom's Cabin. But this one, I have proper instructions for you, much easier to be able to show you. So to start off with, the card pieces you're going to need, as always I'm going to change my colour scheme, and I'm going to be using Crumb Cake. So the card pieces that you're going to need are a card base in Crumb Cake, and this measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which is 21 centimetres by 14.5, scored and folded in the middle. That's at 4 1/8 inch or 10.5 centimetres. Then you will need a piece of Whisper White, which measures 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 10.25 by 14.25 centimetres. You'll need another piece of Whisper White, which measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/2 inches, which is 10 by 14 centimetres. Then you'll need some Crumb Cake and some Whisper White. Minimum you need for the Crumb Cake would be 3 1/2 inches by 2 1/2 inches, that's very approximately, which is 9 centimetres by 6.5 centimetres. The Whisper White needs to be approximately 3 inches by 2 inches, which is 7 1/2 centimetres by 5 centimetres. And you will also need some strips of DSP, which are 1/2 inch wide. I have taken these from the Love Blossoms Designer Series paper stack, and I've picked out 4 designs in the Crumb Cake. So these are 1/2 inch wide by 6 inches long, and I suggest you have 4 strips of each. However many designs you have is entirely up to you. I work with 4, and the other cardstock you're going to need are 4 strips of 1/8 inch wide Crumb Cake, and as best as I can work out, that is 0.3 of a centimetre by 15 centimetres, and I've said these to be 1/8 of an inch by 6 inches. That's a guideline for you, but once you see exactly how I'm putting all this together, you'll be able to decide for yourself exactly what you want there. So the first job I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the main part of the pattern here. And what you need is a pencil and a ruler. Now, bearing in mind this is my way of doing it, other people will have their ways, and obviously how you decide to do it is your choice. I like to think that I give you the easy way of doing it, of course. Right, okay, so what we do, we take the smallest piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is the one that's 3 7/8 by 5 1/2 inches or 10 by 14 centimetres. And what you need to do is, if you measure along 3/4 of an inch, make a little pencil mark. Now yes, that's 2 centimetres. And then if you put the 1 inch mark against your pencil mark, and then measure 3 7/8 of an inch up here, so that's 1 2 3 7/8, and in centimetres that is 10 centimetres. And then do exactly the same down the bottom here. If you measure 3 1/4, 3/4, move that to 1 inch so it's easy to work out where 3 7/8 is. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 7/8. Now what you're going to do, basically what we're doing is we're finding the centre point here. Okay, so I'm going to join that pencil mark diagonally with that pencil mark. I'm not going to draw a line. All I'm going to do is eyeball that mark with that mark and just draw a little line across there. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same the other side so that I finish up with a cross in the middle. So I've lined this pencil mark up with this pencil mark. It doesn't have to be absolutely precise as long as it is really very close. Now you don't need to remove your pencil marks because as we layer this it's going to really not leave any gaps at all. So the next thing you want to do is to get your 4 designs into 4 separate piles, and what I suggest you do is with your designs, if you have 2 that have got a white background, like these have both got white backgrounds, and these 2 have got solid backgrounds, and alternate them, whichever way you lay them down, alternate them. Okay, so you will need your silicone mat. Now the adhesive you use is entirely up to you. You could use snail, you could use our fine tip glue. I'm going to use our 2-way glue pen, and you could also use Tombow, whichever is your preference. Now I'm going to start with this piece. Let's move them up a little bit. And I'm going to use 2 pairs of scissors here. One my normal paper snips and the other pair are my non-stick scissors. So what you're going to do is this corner, you're going to sit it into that corner like that so that it's a right angle, and then you just need to cut this off above the edge of the paper. Okay, like that. Save all these little pieces. So what you need to do next is put your glue on the back, and then adhere it into that corner. Now you can do this with washi tape. The reason I prefer to do it this way is because the paper stays rigid, whereas washi tape, it goes floppy and it sort of fights with you. Okay, so trim that off. Just leave that on there. I just start a little pile there and I put all my offcuts on there. I know you can't see it, but it just keeps it all out of the way. Then when I want to get rid of it, I just pick up that lump and it's gone. Now the next piece is normally too short. It's coming off short there. So take another piece and you put this corner at the end of this one. Okay, so you go into the box there, you line up with that line. But most important is to make sure you don't have any gap between this piece and that piece. Okay, so again, with that in place, we will cut off like that, and then we will adhere that. I'm not going to make you watch me do all of this. I just go round 2 different patterns, and then I have one that I've nearly finished, so I could show you how you finish off at the end. Now obviously you could do this so that you do pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, pattern 4, and then jump 1, pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, pattern for. I have tried it. It doesn't give such a nice finish as this way does. I will show you at the end, and it will also show you at the end one that I've done using washi tape. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is, it's got to go into this box. Okay, you're continually turning your cardstock anti-clockwise. So if we put that there, now it will fit on, okay? So I can use that piece. Again, make sure that it fits up really snug against this piece here, so there's nothing, you can't see the underneath at all. And then the last corner, these aren't going to be long enough. No. Okay, so we take the next piece. That's going to fit in there really nicely, like that. And then I'm going to cut that piece off. You don't have to cut that piece off, it's just that it makes it nice and easy to know how far to glue. This is obviously a great way to use up your scraps. Now if you've lined up your first 3 sheets correctly, you're not going to have any gaps on that side or that side. That is going to fit in really snugly. Right, okay, so that was a white background piece. As I say, we're going to hold on to these. Now I'm going to move on to a solid pattern. And it doesn't matter where you go, as long as you carry on turning your card anti-clockwise, which means you're working clockwise. So the next one is going to fit into there. Snip that off. So don't let it come over the top of a previous strip, because it will be noticeable. Okay, so the next one, will that fit? Yes, that will. There we go. Now sometimes they'll go over the corner there, so you need to do this as 2 snips. First of all, it'll be that one, and then turn your cardstock to cut that one. Okay, let's do the next one. And what I do, when I have a pattern where it could be upside down or the right way, I try and make sure that one and that one are going the same direction, then that one and that one, which means I've got this one upside down, so I'm going to turn that around so that I have those, it's like a water fountain going up, and that one's going up. Right, let's put some glue on this one. I have found this very relaxing to do. doesn't take a particularly long time, but definitely relaxing. Just double check that I've got that up the right way. I'm wearing a very fluffy jumper today. Not meant to be fluffy, but it seems to be molting. Right, one more of that design. Let's see if this one will fit. Oops. Right, let's have a look. Yes, that's good. Okay, so you just carry on doing this with your 4 designs. Once you've done the first 4, go back to number 1, which is why it's so much easier if you just leave your 4 piles here, and you can just follow round all the time. Now here's another one that's gone off 2 angles. So there's that one. Turn it, and then that one. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the one that I have nearly finished. This one I'll do later on. I've had to change one of my patterns. I've only got enough of this one, this white background one, to do one of these, and I've only got enough of the white background that I've used on this one for one, and this one I've used this design. Okay, and even when you're working, do keep these little bits like this, because this is where they'll come in handy. So let me put these in order again. That's that one, that's that one, and that one. Let's keep that down so I can see. Okay, so I've only got these little pieces here to do now. And let's see, I've done the stripy bits there and there, so I've got to do one there and one there, and this is where these 2 are going to come in handy. So first of all, what I need to do is to cut the end off so I have a right angle. Not sure that's very straight. That's better. Okay, so this is going to go in there. In fact, I haven't done that very straight, and if I don't do it straight, it's going to knock everything out. Can't see it that way. What I'm going to do is, keep still, I'm going to line this up on my grid paper, and that will tell me where I need to cut. As you know, I do struggle with straight lines. There we go, let's see if that fits. Much better. Now what I find when I do the really, really tiny bit, like this little bit that I'm going to be left with here, see that little bit there, I find it easier to actually paint the cardstock. Right, let me get these little bits done first, then I can show you. That's that one, so that's 1, 2, 3, this one. Again, I need to cut this at a right angle. In fact, I should have used the other one as a template, shouldn't I? Right, let's see if I've done that correctly. quite. I'll just take a tad off this side. That way. Yes, that's good. Right, so the next pattern after this, because of course I've run out here, it was that one, so it's this. And I've got to make sure that the fountain is shooting up that way, so it's this one. I don't think that will be big enough. No, a tad short. Might do the other side, we'll see. Okay. Now this is a nice one to show you because it's coming off the end here. So at this stage you just do exactly the same. But there's no square for it to go into. Well, there's part of a square. Okay, because the other half is coming off here. Okay. Now while I do the other side, I'm just going to give that a chance to adhere down. Now this one I'm going to do, again making sure that my water fountain is spouting the right way. There we go. So now I'm going to trim this off. Keep building up on my little pile of offcuts there. Oh, that one's stuck to my finger now. Let's see if we can get rid of that. That's better. And now this one. Now that's all the relatively easy ones done. The last four are a little bit fiddly. Okay, so the design that we need after that, fountain, fountain. So these two are fountains. So I'm going to have to start a new piece. I wonder if I can retrieve that from the pile of rubbish. There we go, you see I just need that tiny little piece to go in there, and this is where I was saying earlier that it's a lot better just to put your glue onto that. Mind you, it does depend what kind of glue you're using. Okay, so that's in there, and I'm just going to leave that to dry while I do this side. I wonder if I can get another piece from here. Nothing that's a natural triangle. No, I'm not going to use that. Just going to take a slither off of here and see which way my fountains are going. It's got to go that way. Okay, so I'm going to put my glue on here. If you've been using snail or something else up to this point, you might find it useful to change over to the two-way glue pen now. Okay, so put that in there. Again, I'm going to leave that to dry. Now, after the fountains, it's the flowers, this one here, and because that's going to go off both sides, I can just use any piece. It really is so much easier if you choose patterns that don't have a right way and a wrong way. Oops. There we go, that's that one. And will that do? Yes, that will go on there. This really is thrifty when it comes to using your scraps. There we go. That's it, so just trim up the ends now. And this is one that's got to be cut 2 directions. That one first. And that one. And again another one that's 2 directions. So there's our pattern. Doesn't that look lovely? I hope you like this. Right, let me just clear my rubbish off here, and then I can start putting my card together, and then I can do the sentiment. Okay, let's move that over. So we've got these pieces. I'm using Tombow for this bit. So first of all, I'll put my white layer on. I saw that earlier on and I thought, I wonder if that's pencil mark, but I don't think it is. It looks like it. No. Not that it should be a pencil mark. So let's do the next one. I really like this colour. I think it's the crumb cake. I think it's come up really well. Right, I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to have to give that a wash before I pack everything away tonight. Right, so next I'm going to do my sentiment. Let's bring this back in. And the sentiment I'm using is from a stamp set that will be retiring on the 31st of May, and that is called Feel Goods. I'm sorry to see this one go because it's a great set. The one that I'm using says laughter is the shortest distance between two people. Right, so I have my stamp up and ready, and I'm using crumb cake ink. There we go. And then get my big shot. Let's clear the space here. Right, one magnetic platform. Let's cut that off because I want to do two pieces at the same time here. So if I push that through, the dies I'm using are from our ovals collection, framed oval collections, framelets, and I'm using numbers 2 and 3. I always start counting from the inside. Smaller the die, smaller the number. Right, now this die is a little bit small, so if I turn it around this way so I can see what I'm doing, the parts that I lose are just a part of this swirl underneath at the end of people, and a little bit of the dash by Victor Borg's name, but I shouldn't lose anything else. And then I need a larger oval from my crumb cake. I'll put that on an angle. Make sure that's okay. Okay, so that's my sentiment. I've lost that little tail there, but it doesn't matter because I still think that finishes off nicely. And I also have my crumb cake circle. So if I pop those over there, keep those two together, put this through here. Now on my other cards I have used my paper piercing template, but it is a retired product, so I'm not using it for my video. I'm just going to pop that on there again with Tombow. You could pop this up with dimensionals if you want to. I'm always very conscious that anything like that does tend to increase the postage here in the UK. The bulk of it often makes these things go as a large letter. Okay, so that's both layers with Tombow. Just popping that into the centre. Make sure my card is straight. I think that's okay. And now I'm just going to do this little decoration here. And what I do to get my thin strips, first of all I save them when I'm cutting cardstock down. If I get any size strips, I tend to keep them. If I don't have any, which I didn't in this case, what I do is I take a piece of cardstock. I had a piece that, let's say it was a piece like this. Let's cut that off. I would have used a piece that's longer than this. But what I would do is I'd put that into my trimmer, find out what the width is there. If it's, say, 2 inches, I would move it along so that it goes down to 1 7/8, and then I'd slice that off. Then I'd move it down to 1 3/4 and slice it off, and I would just keep moving it down 1/8 until I get the size, the amount that I need. And I really think that 4 of these is going to be fine. In fact, I need this back now, don't I? So again, I'm going to use my 2A glue pen for this. I'm going to do the top and the bottom ones first. And to get these straight, I am just going to eyeball them. Okay, so I put this so that it comes right off the edge. Okay, this is what I mean, it comes right to the edge here. And that's what I'm going to do with all of them. I'm just going to cut them off. And just press them down and get them to stick. Then I do one at the top. Try and get it the same distance as I did with the bottom one. It's such a small gap there that I really don't think it would notice if it wasn't quite the same. But it will notice, I think, if it's not the same all the way down here. Right, so cut that off. And then another two. I'm going to do them on either side. It's a little detail, but it adds something special to your card, I think. Makes it something a little bit different. And then I'm going to put this one so that the DSP that I can see through there looks as if it's a square rather than an oblong. If it's a square, then I know that I've got approximately the same amount of gap all the way around. Yes, that looks good. And then the last one, don't know if that's big enough, is it? Oh yes, let's use that one. Depending on the length of the cardstock that you've cut your 1/8 inch strips from, you may find that you only need 2, possibly 3 strips. There we go, make sure that's a square rather than oblong in that corner. Oops, go back. I did think about putting some pearls or some rhinestones in the corners where these crossovers, but in the end I decided against it because I thought there's so much going on here that it might overdo it. But there we go, there's my card. Hope you like it, and I really hope you give it a try. As I say, I found it very relaxing to do this one. So that's my one that I showed you at the beginning. This one is basically the same, but what I did with this one, I had my cross, my centre cross, off to the side here. I just measured my 3 7/8 from there. And the other thing I did was my first bit of paper, my first strip was design 1, second strip was design 2, third strip was design 3, fourth strip design 4, and then when I went back to 1, instead of doing it there, I did it on against number 2, and I confused myself in the end. I know it's easily done, but you know, I wouldn't recommend that way. Plus the fact I think you get a much better result like this. This one I think is just too random, but it's a matter of choice what you like. I like that kind. And the other one that I did, which was washi tape, that's what that one looked like. The thing that I should have done here was I should have done these two separated by these two. I think that would have looked better. So there you go. And the one that kicked all of this off in the beginning, that one there. but now I think that's really gone in the shadow because I prefer these. So there we go. Many thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions, please contact me. I'm always happy to help you. If you've enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button. If you'd like to buy any of the products that I featured here, please click on the 24/7 link that's in the box below, and that'll take you straight to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop. And finally, I will put all the measurements and everything on the screen, but depending on what you're watching this video on, they may not appear. So I've also put all the measurements and the products that I've used in the box below, so it's all nice and handy for you. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.